It's so we'll buy purses. I'll buy purses anyways, even if you give me pockets. It's true. What does a waterfall sound like? Shh. Welcome to our shared sacred space. Welcome to University Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, or known lovingly to us, UF. My name is Chloe McElroy. I use she, her pronouns. I am a 5'5" femme-presenting person with red hair and bedazzled purple glasses and a galaxy skater dress for anyone who cannot see me. And I will be your service leader this morning. I would like to remind you that it is COVID season, and it still runs rampant among us. So since we are a very lovey-dovey bunch, we ask that if you are not feeling well, you're feeling sick, sniffly, whatever, that you stay home and join us online. We have a YouTube and a Zoom community led by the sweetest individual, Happy Amin, and that's a very lovey-dovey group as well in the Zoom room. So if you're not feeling well, please stay at home and join our online community. We would also like to point out, but I just wanted to also mention, while we're still in the COVID section, that there is an updated booster shot now. Woohoo! The flu shot is also available. So if you haven't been updated on your vaccines in a while, go get that booster. Help protect your community. Okay, now I'll move towards the next safety item, which is our exits. We have the exit through which you all came to my left and your right. We have the sliding glass doors in the back that lead out to the Memorial Garden. And then we also have the other exit back towards the RE building to my right and your left. So make sure you know where all the exits are to keep us safe here together. And now I invite you to silence your doodads and cell phones. I don't have a pocket, so I keep mine in my bra. I apologize. But I'm going to silence mine as well. If you have any other doodads to silence, please do so now. I ask you to settle into our shared sacred space and settle your minds and your hearts here together. Before we start our service, I would like to welcome up any committee members for committee moments. We have any communities that'd like to come up?
Hello, Allie Carville here for the Pride Committee. Kelly Buchanan sent me some notes. Save the date. Pride Parade is Saturday, October 19th. We have a sign-up sheet on our Facebook page and notable news. We'd love participants for the parade, walkers and riders, decorators for the float, booth hosts. Last year we had 15 people, and we'd love to have you outdo that number this year. We're having a tie-dye party on Friday, October 11th. And above me, I can't point to the slide, but above me, if you'd like to join us for the Pride Parade and other organizing activities, order your shirts today and join in the fun. We're having a Pride Committee meeting on Zoom this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Contact me after the service if you have any more questions. Thank you so much.
Margie with membership. Today after services, we're having the Pathway to Membership meeting for those who are planning to join or thinking about joining during the water ceremony, which will be September 8th. Can I get a showing of hands of those that'll be coming to the Pathway to Membership? Fantastic, thank you. Also, in the back corner, we had a lot of avocados on our trees, so In the corner, there's avocados and bananas. Really good.
My name is Barry London. Many of you may have been out in the Memorial Garden and see the plaque that is on the wall to the left as you walk out. The plaque indicates the people whose ashes are out in the Memorial Garden. There we go. Names I'm sure most of us probably are not familiar with. James Joyner, Eileen Aist, June Britton, Joan Lipton, Bill Stewart, and Dutton Ashcraft. There'll be more of us that'll be out there, but I'm not really excited about the condition of the plaque. And we have a team that's put together a new plaque, and that involves Colleen, Derek, and Barry. And Derek's really come up with this idea. It's very similar to what we have, but it is designed to be in the elements. The old sign really didn't meet that standard. It looks a bit sad. Rusty. Weathered. Beaten. It's going to be in the neighborhood of 2 to 220. I'm looking for people that'll step up and join me. I certainly am going to put a few dollars in, more than a few. I would invite others to do so too. 10 or 11 of us would produce that amount, something like that. So I hope that you will come forward with us, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Janet Levins with Programs, and I am very happy to announce that we will be starting up a new discussion group here at U soon. This group may be something very similar to Inquiring Minds, or it may be something slightly different. And we're going to try to figure out what it's going to be, what it's going to look like, the format, the content, etc., at an organizational meeting on September 15th after the service. So if you're interested in the group but can't come to the meeting, please let me know, and also if you have ideas. And also, or you can let me know, or Martha, or anybody on the board. They will let me know. And also, I am looking for a co-moderator, because as of now, I can only commit to 2 Sundays a month. And if we want to meet every Sunday, I need a partner, someone to help moderate. So, thank you. Hope to see you there.
Derek, toilets, trash, bugs, and geological disturbances. So I'm happy to report that the sinkhole was a man-made phenomenon and not actually those sinkholes that go down into the aquifer. So we got it fixed. Yay, it's all good, right? And then work day is third Saturday in September. I need some help pulling weeds, tearing vines out of bushes, trimming bushes, cleaning up the Memorial Garden. 9 to 12, right? 9 to 12, third Saturday. Thanks.
Hi. Is Larry Vita here? I'm putting on my other hat for Women's Group, which is this Friday, as you can see.
Very well done.
September 6th, and she's trying to do a Julia Childs type of theme thing. So she asked me to come up here and wear this hat for you.
Nice. And it looks like it's potluck.
So next week, after the water ceremony, we're going to have a potluck.
Oh, woo.
The theme is going to be autumn. I know it's a little early in Florida, but that's what it's going to be. Our October potluck is going to be Oktoberfest, so this is going to be our fall potluck. And so think about what you want to bring, and please stay after service for the potluck.
And I'm Chloe. I'm representing OWL. We have OWL starting on the 15th. Let me double check yet again. Sorry, going into my bra again. I eventually will get pockets on my dresses. The 15th, yes, and it's going to be starting at 4:30. If you haven't been able to attend a parent meeting, please see me after the service and we can work it out. It's for youth anywhere from 11 to 17, and Our Whole Lives is a sexual education course for them. So if you have a youth that's interested, let me know. Put that back in there. Okay. My opening words this morning come from Gretchen Haley. It's opening words option from the UU app called Worship Web. If you have not used that UU app, it's amazing, and you should all download it. There is nothing you need to bring with you to be welcome here. No right beliefs or proof of citizenship. No eternal optimism or clarity of conviction. No boundless courage or endless expertise. You do not need to know what brought you here or how to solve that problem that you are turning over and over and over in your mind. Your bills do not need to be paid, and your checkbook can be a mess. Your children may have been up half the night or making lots of noise. Your hearing aids may not be working, and your knees may be creaking. You do not need to be perfect or even halfway to belong in this circle where grace meets us where we are, but does not leave us as it found us, where love resides in each of us, yet somehow, more than all, where life sits, still pulses and rages, and heals and transforms, creating us and this day anew once again. Come, let us worship together. And our opening music this morning is Morning Has Broken. It'll be performed by the congregation and led by Paula and Mallory Rogers.
Stand. Breathe deeply. Put all that sound out into the room. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rains do fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
So before I do the lighting of the chalice, Margie has one more committee moment.
I need to bring notes with me up here, or I forget 50% of what I was going to say. And it's important, next Sunday is our water communion. So remember to bring the water that you have collected throughout the year on your travels. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, every year in the fall we have a water communion where we have some of the water we've kept from previous years in a bowl, and we all submit our own little vials of water that are significant to us. They might have been from a travel. They might be from a river near our home. They might be from your grandma's hose. So that's next week. Don't forget your water. Is there anything else? You wouldn't know, would you? Get inside my head, Chloe. Come on.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sure it's a fun place to be. Okay, Miles was ready to come up. I see him coming now. So Miles is our chalice lighter today. He uses he, him pronouns. He is 6 years old. And his joy to share is that he went to a bunch of places in Mexico. So cool. And if you will recite our chalice lighting with me. In the light of truth, in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And we affirm our time here together by reading our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. We'd like to welcome you all here today. We are a diverse congregation. We are fully lay-led now. Our Reverend Tracy has now moved on in the world. I know that we are going to have Reverend Kathy here, I think, once a month. But besides that, we're going to be lay-led. So we'll have many different members from our community. We'll have people from our congregation, like we do today, coming to speak. So we ask you to come at least 3 or 4 times just to figure out what we're about and see if we're really for you. I would like to take the time right now for you to greet your people around you and welcome them, and listen for me to call you back. Hi, Mallory. What does a waterfall sound like? Shh. Great greeting of the neighbors, y'all. But we have one more community to greet. It is our online community in the back where the cameras are. Hello, online community. We're happy you're here. All right. And now we will move on to joys and concerns. Just a reminder that, like I mentioned, the online community is being projected out into the world. So, don't say anything that you wouldn't want forever online.
Good morning, all. It's Patrick here. So we got 3 joys and concerns from the Zoom room crew. First joy is from Lori Mulroney Martinez. She's completed the final certification steps for starting her ASL teaching at Boone. Are they the Braves? Are they the Braves? Come on, Barry. Braves? Boone Braves? All right. She's looking forward to being in the classroom. A concern that turned into a joy, Steve Hall is recovered from a bout of COVID. He's good to feel good again. And the last one just popped in here is from Joey. Let me see. Her son, John, continues to improve after his heart surgery. Walking 3 miles a day already. I guess it's a joy then, sorry. She wants to thank everyone again for all the support she has received. She's not going to San Diego to care for him, as he's already set up a care plan with his friends and neighbors. She's grateful that he is in a loving community. I think that's it.
Hi, I'm Kat, and I'm turning 21 on Tuesday.
I got a good day.
Hi, my husband and I have a very significant joy, and that is 5 years ago, for those of you who knew me 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with a cancer of unknown primary. It was a mystery cancer, and it had a bad prognosis. And it was a scary time. I wound up going through chemo and radiation, not knowing if it'd work or not. And I went through that thanks to the help of a lot of people in this congregation, and also, frankly, to good health insurance. Earlier this week, I had my 5-year scans. I've been getting follow-up scans, and they were, in the words of both my oncologists, perfect. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So I have graduated. I am now, I only have to go once a year. I am low risk of return, and I thought they were going to be good. I wasn't that worried, but didn't realize how incredibly happy I would be. I was so happy on Monday and Tuesday, so I wanted to share that. Yay.
My joy is that I don't have school on Monday. What the Sigma? What the Sigma? My concern is, I have a concern. I got COVID in Mexico. You go. I'm gonna.
You're after me? Okay. Okay, my joy actually has to do with her. So this next upcoming Saturday is what's known as Addie's Diaversary, or it'll be 3 years since she was diagnosed. And it may, for some outside people, feel odd to celebrate a diagnosis date. In the diabetes community, we celebrate it because it's a year of hard-fought wins every day. And the progression of modern medicine, 100 years ago, this wasn't a thing you would celebrate a year later because you didn't have that kind of outlook. So I'm incredibly grateful for these last 3 years. I'm incredibly grateful for an amazing school that takes great care of her. The nurses and paraprofessionals are amazing, and we have great help here, and James and Jules and RE who are always willing to take care of her, and great family and friends around. So 3 years for her.
My joy is I'm in kindergarten now.
Somebody already said my joy, but I have another one. Well, the first one was I don't have school on Monday. The second one is that D&D exists, and I'm going. So.
I have no joy, I have no concern. I am the microphone deliverer. I celebrated a birthday last Friday, and I got a mug that says, I am not 92, I am 18 plus 74 years of experience.
Thank you for all those joys and concerns shared, and those we still carry in our hearts. If you wouldn't mind just taking a few moments here to just reflect on our joys and concerns and those we still carry in our hearts. Thank you. I believe now we have time for all ages? Yes? Yes, okay. James is coming up for time for all ages.
Good morning, everyone. So today is okay, cool. Today is another story day. So if anyone would like to come up and help act out the story, I invite you up now.
Oh, here comes Alice.
Awesome. Here we go.
Coming up.
Awesome. Here we go. Okay.
Coming.
And I'll just take a little second to go ahead and cast all the rules here. So.
Yeah, Jojo. Yeah. There you go. There you go.
There we go. There. Keep your arms up. There we go. Awesome. Yes.
There you go.
Awesome. Here we go. Awesome.
There you
Yes.
go.
And then you donkeys will be just. Yeah. Awesome. And then later on in season, you guys are going to do hormones. So I'll be describing what hormones are. You guys will just go ahead and use the hormones to or don't. Sound good? Okay. Okay, we're ready. Quick little rehearsal here. So, once upon a time, far away and a long time ago, there were two donkeys living on a farm. Now, it was winter on this farm, and the two donkeys were spending all their time lying in the barn and eating hay. Ugh, I hate winter, said the first donkey. It's so boring and cold, and there's nothing but hay to eat. I quite like winter, said the second donkey. It's lovely getting to rest. It's nice and cozy here in the barn, and I never get too hot. Humph, said the first donkey. I can't wait till spring. Well, the months went by, and eventually spring arrived, and the donkeys found themselves helping out on the farm, pulling the plow to get the ground ready for planting.
There you go.
Oh, I hate spring, said the first donkey. There's so much plowing. I like spring, said the second donkey. There's lots of lovely fresh grass to eat, and the weather is not too hot and not too cold. Humph, said the first donkey. I can't wait for summer. Well, the months went by, and eventually summer arrived, and the donkeys found themselves helping out with the carrying of the summer harvest and working of the grain mill. So you guys are all pulling up the harvest, like picking fruits and vegetables off the ground. Sound good? Oh, I hate summer, said the first donkey. All this carrying of vegetables and grain and pulling the grain mill round and round, and it's far too hot besides. I quite like the summer, said the second donkey. There's lots of sunshine and fresh grass and flowers. Humph, said the first donkey. I can't wait for fall. Well, the months went by, and eventually fall arrived, and the donkeys found themselves pulling big carts full of apples and pumpkins and other fall produce to market and back. And you guys can go ahead and be loading up the cart with apples. Yeah. So just like pick up apples and put it on the cart. Got it? Awesome. Oh, I hate the fall, said the first donkey. All this dragging of a big, heavy cart about. I quite like the fall, said the second donkey. Brightly colored leaves on the trees, cool breezes, and we get to see all kinds of neat people at the markets. Humph, said the first donkey. I can't wait for winter. Thank you guys all so much. You are amazing.
Good job, guys.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we've all heard the story, I'm going to ask you guys to think about what kind of lessons you might pick up from a story like this, and then you raise your hands and I'll bring the microphone around. We've already got people started, so here I go.
Not everything about the seasons are bad.
Very nice, very nice.
You can choose to see the good things in life and have a happy time, or see all the bad things and be depressed.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, there we are.
You can also learn special things from stories.
That is very true, yes. Very meta answer there. You can learn all kinds of special things from stories.
Yeah. It's true.
Okay, anyone else? Oh, there we go.
If you're not in the present and always looking to the future, you won't be able to enjoy the present.
You should look at the glass half full.
Nice. Looks like
there we
got
go.
Andrew.
Oh, there we go. What was that?
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Very nice, very nice. Anyone else? Okay, thank you guys all so much. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope you have a great rest of this wonderful morning.
Yay. Good job. All righty. It's time for our interlude and offering now. We share 40% of our shared plate with different organizations throughout Orlando and Orange County. This section of time we're sharing with SALT. SALT is an organization that provides showers and laundry services for people without homes. So it's an awesome organization. And looks like, I don't know what our interlude and offering is going to be, but I'm sure whoever is coming up will tell you.
There we go. Yes, hymn number 6, Just As Long As I Have Breath, and we'll have a short introduction.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I meet my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, all with that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
And we always welcome our children to stay, but for this time we will sing our children out. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome up our own Peter Carlson for his talk on conflict, compassion, and evolution.
Hello. First, I'm going to read a quote from someone you probably have heard of. There's no need for temples, no need for complicated philosophies. My brain and my heart are my temples. My philosophy is kindness. This is from a person named Tenzin Gyaltso, who you might also know as the 14th Dalai Lama. Yes. Now, I've been a secular Buddhist for over half my life. I talked about secular Buddhism here some months ago. Not as a religious commitment, but primarily as an effort to provide relief from the distress and confusion I've experienced as I've witnessed the emerging cultural and environmental conflicts that have occurred over the course of my lifetime. I want to share some of my thoughts about these conflicts and what I've learned from my secular Buddhist studies and practices that are intended to cultivate compassion. as a way to alleviate the suffering of myself and the hundreds of people who I've taught meditation to for over 3 decades. I also believe that we're born with the ability to be compassionate, but require training to be able to make the best use of it. And I want to describe some Buddhist techniques for cultivating that discipline. We're living in an era of uncertainty and conflict. My father was born probably around 1905 or 1906. I'm not sure anymore. But he lived through 2 world wars, worldwide flu epidemic, major depression, and a number of other calamities. And some of the effects of that were passed on to the next generation, which would include me and many of us here. So this is a very stressful time to be on the planet. Social norms are changing. These changes are being challenged, often with misrepresentation and hostility on all sides. Ethnic conflicts have flared up around the world, complicated and aggravated by disrupted global weather patterns and heat waves. In the midst of this, human evolution continues on a biological, physical, and socio-cultural level. Hopefully, the cultivation of spiritual values, such as compassion, will contribute significantly to our ability to adapt effectively to these challenges. We experience emotional distress and mental confusion as a result of these conditions in our self-image as well as in our relationships. I want to focus on this talk on the psychological, cultural, and spiritual benefits that come from the effective functioning of compassion, considering the nurturance of kindness and caring as evolutionary trends. I find Unitarian universal principles have placed an emphasis on compassionate awareness and action, which support the potential for successful personal and cultural evolution. And I want to link this potential to some of the principles and practices of secular Buddhism. We are hardwired for empathy, the ability to vibe and tune with other beings. There are areas of the brain that specialize in creating the experience of empathy. There are 2 sorts of empathic processes that are being researched: mimicry and emotional sharing. Mimicry occurs when we observe and model our actions in ways similar to others' behaviors, individually and in groups. We all know emotional sharing. We tear up when we witness another person's loss or pain. And we feel joy when seeing the happiness and success of others. Compassion develops from empathic experience and contributes to effective socialization. Alerting to and responding supportively when witnessing the distress and confusion of another has important survival value that historically increased the success of a tribal society. It's in our DNA, which builds the neural pathways that process empathy and compassion. There's significant anthropological research that shows that primates like chimpanzees demonstrate compassionate behavior, and that humans cared for each other when injured or ill more than 10,000 years ago. Early on, hominids somehow evolved the ability to speak, which had enormous evolutionary impact on the whole planet. Those proto-humans had a larynx, and vocal cords, and a tongue prior to that change. Somehow our ancient predecessors developed the ability to speak, to gather and verbally share information in very important ways. Although it took a very long time for the ability to talk and sing to become normal for almost everyone on the planet. The ability to think and share information and be compassionate, which was a vital evolutionary development that set us apart from hominids, and is what made us human, actually. There's a strong correlation between the development of language and compassion. We each create a story that is self-defining built on the foundation of cultural norms and riding along on top of our more instinctual drives, greed or hatred, as well as kindness, compassion, and generosity. The interaction between these instinctual traits, compassion versus cruelty, generosity versus greed, wisdom versus ignorance, affects each of us. This internal narrative process is the field within which our internal and interpersonal conflicts arise, along with our ability to effectively resolve them. We are experiencing in our lifetimes an extraordinary turning point in human evolution and the larger environment affecting all forms of life on the planet. Some anthropologists are calling this period the anthropogenic era because of the worldwide influence our post-industrial and consumerist culture has on the planet. The deliberate cultivation and application of kindness and compassion, because of their beneficial effects on ourselves and the world at large, is essential for the conflicts of our world to evolve in wholesome ways. We get involved in unwholesome ways, certainly capable of that. The potential evolutionary benefits of compassion are still emerging in human culture, and its development can be associated with the origination of spirituality, as mediated by religious institutions, and which, over thousands of generations, is still maturing. In this way, spirituality contributes to the emerging evolutionary trend. Kindness and compassion are woven into the fabric of every religion. But the realization of these pro-social spiritual principles requires self-inquiry and self-discipline. It's the difference between the concept of being compassionate and actually functioning that way. In the 12-step tradition, they have a phrase that I find apt. You can just talk the talk, or you can walk the walk. Considering the individual stress that comes with the unprecedented complexity of current sociocultural and ongoing environmental crises, we all will benefit from the skillful application of self-compassion as we foster the long game of evolution. When compassion is the guiding principle, we can create more adaptive lifestyle changes in terms of societal norms and environmental conditions. 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism represent and support how we as a congregation can further the spiritual and social-cultural aspects of a successful evolutionary process. This is one of the things that really invites me about Unitarian Universalism, these principles and how congruent they are with my Buddhist understanding. Here's some of my thoughts about this crucial process. First principle states that each person is worthy of respect and dignity. First of all, we must use compassion to support our own self-respect and dignity, and then fostering compassion for others. The political conflicts that are so prevalent these days cannot be resolved through defeating others, winning a debate, or belittling those whose situation is in peril, but primarily through identifying how distress and confusion are confounding useful dialogue and negotiation of mutual needs, through bringing compassion to frame the process of reconciliation. The second principle explicitly cites justice, equity, and compassion in human relations as being fundamental for social and spiritual evolution to occur. We must grow past tribal empathy that creates cross-cultural conflict and use the power of discussion and reparation to include worldwide cultural cooperation. Third principle describes acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations as another essential component for human cultural evolution. I hope my comments here today will inspire future spiritual growth among us. The fourth principle establishes that a free and responsible search for truth and meaning is a requirement for the other principles to be realized. There are 3 core Buddhist practices that that can support this search: mindfulness, investigation, and self-regulation, which I will describe briefly in a few minutes. 5th principle, conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, states that ethical choices that support a clear conscience are essential for realizing the full potential of spiritual and cultural evolution. This requires ongoing self-inquiry, honesty, and flexibility, in accordance with the other relevant principles, and a willingness to learn how to effectively negotiate conflicting views in ourselves and interpersonally. Our Social Action Committee seeks to further the democratic process, among other projects, but it's particularly important during this election cycle, and we must bring compassion to this endeavor in that regard. 6th principle states that the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all requires cultivating the wise application of kindness and compassion, which we can practice among ourselves in this congregation, supported by effective scientific and sociological research. 7th principle establishes that respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part, is core to the development of our spirituality, and by extension, the beneficial evolution of life on this planet. Now, the realization of these principles and of compassion requires ongoing training and discipline cultivated patiently. The deliberate cultivation of self-compassion significantly reduces the likelihood of becoming burned out, discouraged, and despairing. I made my living as a psychotherapist, so I practiced compassion professionally for over 30 years. I didn't burn out. One of my teachers made a comment once about compassion. She said that if you're practicing compassion and you experience burnout, you don't really understand compassion yet. There's a balancing that's required. We must protect our evolved ability to articulate information and beliefs through actions that are balanced and compassionate, even regarding others who are hardened in their opinions. Without wise study and practice, this ability is not always realized because of the default mode of conflicted cultural conditioning. When the cultural selfing story is unethical and we act on it unwisely, there are negative consequences. Spirituality and religious doctrines are organized around pro-social ethics, kindness and compassion, among other values. However, as I mentioned previously, we must train our hearts and minds to nurture the better angels of our nature, to quote Abraham Lincoln, which is what he said right after the end of the Civil War, just at the end of the Civil War. We live in a competitive and transactional culture that is organized around winning or losing. Because of the unethical default conditioning mentioned previously, there are elements of our society that encourage stories that celebrate aggression, harshness, and cruelty, prioritizing winning the game over pro-social ethics. Somehow, we must find ways to overcome our impulsive reactivity to these provocations and find more compassionate ways to respond to the challenges that confront us going forward, not just in terms of current political conflicts, but also towards revising how we live in a world that is dominated by consumerism, which can be unethically designed to capitalize on greed and at the same time become ecologically untenable. From a Buddhist perspective, kindness and compassion are guiding principles, and these factors are intended to be developed to their fullest potential. The appearance of harshness and cruelty is considered to be the far enemy of compassion, which opposes its development and is often experienced as anger and fear, which increases the level of conflict and decreases the ability to be compassionate, and therefore that far enemy must be identified and intentionally disregarded. For example, I can notice how something someone else says or does stirs up fear and anger, and that interferes with my ability to understand their perspective and perhaps find a way to negotiate an effective resolution of the conflict, or at least avoid aggravating the situation. The near enemy of compassion is pity, which can falsely seem like compassion, but instead is disrespectful regarding the dignity of another being. Pity cultivates a divisive attitude that diminishes the value of another person's life experience. This form of contempt is noticed by the other person. They may not even be consciously aware of it. They may just shut down and withdraw, fostering their distrust and perhaps stirring up resentment and aggression. One of my teachers mentioned that he was traveling through Manhattan with his teacher, and they saw a homeless person on the street. His teacher asked him what the compassionate thing to do would be, and my teacher said, "Buy him a meal." His teacher replied, "That would indicate pity, and that the more skillful thing to do would be to share a meal with that person." Both those misrepresentations of compassion, the far enemy and the near enemy, must be intentionally disregarded in order for its full benefit to be realized. But how do you do that? How do you actually walk the walk, right? That's been a core principle of my life. You know, I've been very interested in philosophy for almost my entire adult life. But what appeals to me about Buddhism is that it emphasizes training yourself to actually be able to realize the potential of the concepts. There are three functions found within the conceptual and mental training framework of Buddhism that supports this purifying process: mindfulness, investigation, and the ability to redirect attention, which is called right effort. Let me explain their characteristics. Mindfulness, simply present moment awareness. It functions the same way as a computer chip inside your cell phone camera app, which just receives and records the light impulse. That's all it does. Investigation is closely associated with mindfulness. It's the function that works closely with mindfulness to assess whether what is emerging into consciousness is wholesome or unwholesome. In the context of the cultivation of compassion, it's the ability to analyze and recognize how empathy is being interpreted by the emerging selfing story, which responds to the situation. Is what is emerging compassion, or the near or far enemy of compassion? Right effort is also a core practice in Buddhism. It operates like a channel switcher, a remote on TV that regulates the energy of attention and your actions, your behaviors. Mindfulness and investigation identify the channel, and if what is forming in the mind, if what is showing up on that channel is wholesome, compassionate, just keep channeling attention into that particular thought and action. Make the best of it. However, if it's unwholesome, we can change the channel and disregard that option, redirecting the energy of attention instead towards compassion in a purer form. Easier said than done. I've been practicing this, like I said before, half my life. My mind still jumps track. But I can notice it and very quickly bring it back on task and keep it there, keep it focused for longer periods of time. I use mindfulness and breathing meditation, but it also applies to other endeavors that I might be undertaking, reading or some chore that I'm doing or something I really don't want to do, but I know I should do. I can just keep coming back to the right approach to the situation. This process of internal self-monitoring and self-discipline seems daunting when first considered, but with training, proficiency develops. So I want to ask you all a question. I did this, I think, the last time I spoke about secular Buddhism in here. Who among you has learned how to play an instrument? Can I see a show of hands? Okay, so Margie, what instrument did you play? Piano. And so first time you sat down and played it, you made beautiful music, right? Absolutely not. You made a lot of mistakes, right? Right. So what inspired you to keep going?
What inspired me? I had a very lovely older lady that was my teacher, and she was very encouraging.
Okay, so you had support from someone else, probably compassionate and patient.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
And then what happened when you practiced?
I made a lot of mistakes.
Right? And then you kept practicing?
I kept practicing. And it turns out the more I practiced, the better I got.
That's right. That's right. And you made beautiful music.
I did.
Right. So consider your experience of life, your selfing process, to be a work of art. Right? Invest some time in training your mind. Right? And people tell me this all the time. I teach them how to meditate. Oh, it's so hard. What I tell them is, when you can stay on task, that's easy. When you get distracted, that's hard. So when you can be compassionate, reliably, with practice, it's much easier than being in a harsh state. Much easier. Trust me on this. I've been working on this for a long time. I mentioned earlier how verbalization and emotion are key supportive elements for the development of human personality, and how our cultural conditioning shapes this selfing story. This conditioning, when not monitored by mindfulness, investigation, and right effort, can be a reinforcer of either harshness and cruelty or pity. And this is often the default mode of our untrained internal self-organization and action, and often produces negative outcomes. I mean, this is what's going on in our culture these days, isn't it? People are clashing with themselves and with each other. Skillful application of compassion must begin with our own minds. Because of empathy, that part of, that empathic attunement, where we vibe off of each other, it's a two-way street. It's important to realize that. Somebody acts a certain way, our empathy kicks in, we may want to get back at them to win the argument. Or they make me angry, so I'm justified in lashing back at them with my anger. That just is like throwing fuel on a fire, isn't it? So this mirroring process is going on all the time. And it operates subconsciously and then boils up into conscious awareness. We have to be aware of how that happens and learn how to manage it more skillfully. It's important to be mindful and investigate, as it happens, how your empathic process is operating, particularly when in a conflicted situation. Perhaps while talking to a person who has a radically different political view. How does it affect your breathing patterns? Are there any surges of impulsive reactivity, along with internal counter-arguments, or maybe verbalized counter-arguments? So investigate that storyline with detached curiosity and discover whether the story represents the near or far enemy of compassion, and practice self-regulation. I'm going to talk more about how to make this happen in a few minutes. Our self-compassionate internal responses in the situation shape our behaviors, and this changes the way we come across to another. The other person's empathic response to our compassionate behavior gets a different vibe. Our reactive patterns don't match up with what their expectations are. And this lack of reinforcement doesn't add fuel to the conflict. The self-awareness and compassionate self-regulation creates a pattern of dialogue that allows more opportunities for a successful resolution of the conflict. One of my most valuable skills as a psychotherapist involved the ability to be mindfully and compassionately aware of another person's anger or fear in a session, and respond in a way that was thoughtful and respectful of their distress and confusion. As a result, their agitation was not mirrored or reinforced by my body language or voice, and this helped them to calm down and for me to be more available for talking through the situation with them therapeutically. Right? That's a really important skill set, not just in psychotherapy, but any kind of interpersonal encounter. Within the Buddhist traditions, the use of mantras, phrases that are intended to cultivate beneficial and spiritual states of mind and actions, is common practice. There are many forms of mantra, depending on the desired goal. Mindfulness, investigation, and right effort are aligned with the sincere and silent repetition of the mantra. When attention is drawn away from the mantra to another focus, mindfulness and investigation discover that condition, and right effort redirects attention back to the mantra. You know, we tell ourselves stories all the time. The story in a mantra is organized around different values. In this case, it would be kindness and compassion. So how do you apply this? I'm going to talk about the mantra specifically in a minute. First of all, I want to talk about how you apply it. First, you have to recognize with mindfulness and investigation where the distress and confusion is in your own process. You have to recognize your own reactivity first and bring that back into balance. And then act from that. That's the first task. Notice the distress, which is emotional urgency, kind of impulsive reactivity, and accompanying story, which tends to justify and amplify the distress and confusion. And the confusion means basically what that person is saying does not exactly line up with your expectations, how you think people should be. For example, I might encounter a neighbor who starts to talk excitedly about a political view that quickly stirs up anger in me. With investigative mindfulness, I can acknowledge internally that this is suffering. And this sets up an awareness that activates right effort and refocuses my attention back to grounding myself in kindness and compassion. So here are some of these renditions of the mantra. I have been on several loving kindness mantras that lasted a week. And so it's an immersive experience. I keep repeating the mantra silently over and over and over again. Time I wake up, time I go to sleep. It becomes embedded in my psyche. In fact, when I did about 15 years ago, for several months after that, whenever I was doing mowing the lawn, driving the car, talking with my wife, in the background would be this mantra. It started out like this: may I be happy and peaceful, free from distress and confusion. Now, the word happy has all kinds of associations, right? When we think the word happy, our brains start to connect with what goes on in the body when happiness occurs. Same with peacefulness. In the opposite sense, when we're distressed, the biochemistry changes our body. And same with confusion. But when we identify and bring attention back to balance, compassion, and awareness, then we can move from that position much more effectively. Here's another rendition that focuses on another person. May you be happy and peaceful, free from distress and confusion. May I be supportive of your peace in my heart, mind, and behavior. Now, it doesn't mean I have to agree with that person. I might learn from that person. I might learn something new that would be useful. But I do not have to give them permission to continue to be hurtful or abusive. But my response set is different. It comes from a different process inside. There are many variations on this mantra. I've been contemplating and modifying the phrasing for decades. It's intended to mindfully and sincerely inform the elements of my personality in support of the realization of empathic compassion. I can even imagine my choices about environmental issues to cultivate compassion for the interdependent complexity of the world. Go to the seventh principle, right? May all beings be happy and peaceful, free from distress and confusion. And I can make compassionate choices about my consumerism. There's no way in the world I can stop being a consumer. It's just not possible. Not possible. But I can make wiser choices and more compassionate choices. Not just about the environment, but what I take into my body. How does it affect my body? Right? This is also compassion. And part of our conflict is how often we're tempted to do things, eat things that are, hurtful to ourselves and the planet. We need to work on that. Here's another area of conflict resolution focuses on the importance of forgiveness. All cultures have ways of repairing societal wounds. Forgiveness is not intended to be permission for harmfulness to be continued, but instead, compassion prepares the heart and mind for the creation of opportunities for reparation to occur. A variety of religious and societal processes in this regard. They're often ritualistic, but they're all organized around this kind of compassionate action. So here's another rendering. I'm aware that you've done harm as a result of greed, hatred, or ignorance. And so have I. May we both be free from harmfulness and become wise, generous, and kind. Now, that's a generalized statement, but it's specifically applied. When I'm aware that someone else they're misrepresenting the truth, misrepresenting reality. I might jump on my high horse and want to correct them and make them right. But then I stop and think, how many times have I misrepresented reality? And then drop into a more compassionate mode and maybe have a different way of working through this with that person. We all want to be happy. We all want to be safe. How we go about it can be problematic. But when we bring compassion and wisdom to this mix, it works a lot better. There are a whole lot more concepts and trainings that are available from the Buddhist perspective in this regard. So I just want to, in closing, make a couple of suggestions. One of them is any book written by Pema Chodron, who is an American, a woman who has been teaching Buddhist meditation for generations. No, not even generations, decades. There we go. A long time. Everything she's written is organized around compassion. Everything. Another book is written by Loving Kindness, is the title of the book, is written by Sharon Salzberg, who was one of my personal teachers. That's an excellent book. And also, just put a plug in for Orlando Insight Meditation Group, which I organized back in 1992. You can go to the orlandoinsightmeditation.org website, and you'll find there's an audio tab on the homepage, and you'll find all kinds of recorded Dharma talks. This is a Dharma talk, by the way, and guided meditations that I produced over decades. few by other people, almost all by me. Recently, I gave a series of talks on loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, which is the ability to celebrate the happiness and success of another person, and equanimity, which brings balance to all of those. So those are all posted on the website. And as a matter of fact, this is just coincidence. Next Wednesday night, my talk is going to be organized around the concepts of mindfulness, investigation, and right effort. And there'll be a guided meditation that will be supporting training in that regard. We meet from 7 to 9 on Wednesday nights, and you can go to the orlandoinsightmeditation.org website and get the URL for the Zoom meeting. Or you can show up in person in my backyard. So, it's really interesting. I've given Dharma talks for 30 years or more. On a regular basis, no problem. I have fretted about this talk over a week, revising it and revising it and revising it. So I hope that my efforts provide some benefit for you going forward. And thank you so much for your attention. I wish you well.
Your efforts definitely made a positive impact on me, Peter. And if you wanted to know how long Peter's been doing this, I was the age of 2 when he started. Or maybe 1, because I'm a 91 baby. So, very long time, and we appreciate your efforts. We're extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And Peter mentioned that if anybody wants to get information or talk to him afterwards, he's sticking around. Our closing music today is my favorite song from the hymnal. It is Spirit of Life. And it will be performed by the congregation, led by Gary, and Mallory will be our accompanist.
So, since we all know this, Mallory's going to give us 4 measures. I hope. Well, please stand. If you're willing and able. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I love that one. My closing words today come from Norm Phelps. He's a NASA astronaut and a lifelong vegetarian. We gotta focus on compassion. Compassion for the suffering of others is not weakness. Acting from compassion when those around you do not takes more courage and strength of character than going along with everyone else's cruelty. I do not believe we have a postlude, so please go in peace. And you can turn your devices back on. Thank you very much.